Hello, my name is David Worden. For a number of years, I was the Euphonium soloist with the United States Coast Guard Band in New London, Connecticut. Now I'm living in Minnesota. I'm working with computers during the day. In the evenings and weekends, I perform and teach. I'd like to help you prepare for the MMEA All-State auditions. I have the Etude set number 1 in front of me here. I think it's fairly straightforward in many ways, but there are a few tricky spots in it. I assume you all have metronomes. I hope so. If not, you'll probably want to get one. The basic tempo the piece starts is 100 for the quarter note. Not terribly fast. Your brain can wrap around it easily. Your fingers can probably handle the notes pretty easily. There's some fast tonguing in there, which you'll have to practice. I won't talk about that because that's a little more straightforward. But I think the places where some students might get a little confused or they'd stumble a bit perhaps. Starting at measure 13, we have 3 measures of multimeter. We have a 7/8 bar, a 6/8 bar, and a 5/8 bar. Now metronomes don't beat that for us. They don't do. In the case of the 7/8 bar, you'd have to have 2 normal beats and a long beat because there's groupings of 2, 2, and 3. Dot, 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 dot. Well, my metronome won't do that. But we don't think that way. We think this way, right? We think pretty even beats. Probably tapping your foot or mentally tapping your foot. So what I like to do is practice with the metronome, get as far into that as I can before the beat just goes off of what the metronome can do. Fortunately, the 7/8 bar here starts with 2 beats of just normal 8th notes. They're grouped in pairs. So I'm going to play starting in measure 12, a 3/4 bar, and go right into the 7/8 bar with the metronome ticking quarter notes. So that's straightforward. If you didn't know what the music was, you'd think I were just playing in a normal quarter note beat. That will help you make the transition from the normal measures where you're not thinking too hard about counting to the measure where you have to think a little harder. The second place that would stumble a lot of people, I think, would be the measure 18 and measure 22, where we have quarter note triplets across the bar. So because we have 4 quarter notes in a normal bar, now we're going to have 6 quarter notes because they're triplets. That means there are half again as many in the bar. So what I like to do is make my metronome play those triplets at the speed they should go. So half again as many in the bar means I want half again as fast as 100. Mathematically, that's 150. My metronome only has standard tempos, so I don't have 150, but I have 152, and that's pretty close. So that's here. So this is the speed of the quarter note triplets. Now I'm going to practice for a minute getting into bar 18. There's a tie across the bar, which makes it more difficult. So I'm going to start on the second half of bar 17, which will be now 3 of those ticks. Because there are 6 ticks in the measure, this half note there is half the measure. It ties across and goes right into that tick for the 8th notes. There's a dotted rhythm at the end of the measure of triplets, but I'm going to ignore that and play just straight triplets. So once again. Now I'm going to make the dotted note part of this measure. So by using the metronome that way, I've helped to get my head through that, to build a muscle memory, so my fingers know what to do, my head knows what it sounds like. Then when I'm thinking or tapping my feet in the normal quarter note beat, 1, 2, da, da, dee, 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 dee. It's easier for me to do that perhaps without slowing down or speeding up during that measure, and that's the danger for most people. So I hope those 2 little things help you prepare for this. Otherwise, it's just practicing it, making sure you get the notes, look at the dynamics in the piece. They're sort of equivalent to making sure if you turn a paper in that it's spelled correctly. So here we have forte, mezzo forte, mezzo piano, piano, and pianissimo. So a pretty wide range of dynamics. Play each of those passages a little bit, maybe just one measure of those passages at different dynamics, and see if you really hear the difference in your dynamic. If your mezzo piano sounds a lot like your forte, then you need to work a little bit on widening that space. As you do this, remember it's still music. You should treat it as any other piece of music. Even though it says etude, you practice an etude with musicality. You want precision and everything else that you're working on for this, but you want to make it sound like a piece of music. So find out what's in there. Find out how it speaks to you as a musician. Put that in there as a little extra over and above the notes. A computer can play the notes. A computer can't play music. The person who auditions ahead of you might not put as much musicality into it. If you play equally as well technically and have musicality, then you'll be ahead of the game. So I hope this helps you. Most of all, have fun. As you practice, enjoy the piece. Just really learn to love it. And that'll help you, I think, perform it well. Good luck. Thank you. And remember the most important tip of all. Dump the water from your horn before you start playing. Good luck.